Life is not meant to be a to-do list. Hi there, this is my love letter to books, and today I wanted to talk about a book, 4,000 Weeks by Oliver Burkeman. It's a really incredible book that I feel like I've gotten a lot of my favorite quotes from, but I think it just has some timeless lessons that are incredibly important in today's fast-paced, fast-moving society. And so I believe that it's the perfect book for someone who is going through some anxiety, some stress, some questions about whether or not they're making the best use of their time. So I definitely felt that way recently, and that's something that has caused me a bit of stress lately, just because sometimes I do ask myself, am I gonna be able to do it all? I hope I could do it all well. Is something just not going to work out well because I don't have the time, energy, and resources to really commit to this task? So that's why I decided to turn to 4,000 Weeks to kind of get a reset on my expectations, priorities, and overall just mental mentality. As you can guess from the title, 4,000 Weeks, it actually sets the context of the books and will hopefully set the context for you to make better life decisions. So 4,000 weeks is the average amount of weeks that we should probably, hopefully, will get on our time on this earth. So that leads you to approximately around 80 years. So however old you are now, divide that by 80 years, and that's how much time you've used up, but you should also be aware of the time that you have left remaining. And so this book speaks a lot about time, and the reason that our time and our attention is so important when you think about it, because wherever you go, whoever you talk to, whatever you do, those moments, right, however big, however small, they'll actually determine how you experience your life. And I think to me that's so profound because it's true. The job that you work for, the tasks that you do every single day, those are the skills that you're investing in. Those are the coworkers that you're choosing to be with for a lot of your time. The hobbies that you choose to partake in, those will fulfill your extracurriculars. And just the people that you talk to, you speak to, you text to, the information that you listen to, that will really determine the thoughts that will influence you on a day-to-day basis. So even I think that we like to think that some of our life experience is handed to us. I believe that we have a lot of choice over how we make the most out of life. We just talked about how that influences your life experiences. It's also really important not to just think about time as a commodity, as how can I sell my time best to make the most amount of money? Because if you focus on your dollars per hour, how you could get more hours to make more money, to hopefully increase your lifestyle, to give you more choices, more options. The warning behind that is that you're giving up your life experiences to be able to survive and thrive. So really important, but it's also equally as important to be aware that life is not meant to be a to-do list. It's not meant to be quantified as time as the input and the output to be various tasks that could measure how you work. I think the lesson here is that it's important to keep free time for yourself. And when I say free time, I mean to schedule in time where you're not expected to have an output, when you're not expecting yourself to have to do anything, to have true free time. That could be nap time. That could be my favorite reading time. Or it could literally be let's plop on the couch and think about nothing time. I think all that time is really important, and sometimes that time just feels so slow and it doesn't feel like you're doing anything but just warming your soul again. But I love the fact that usually this free time may be the only time you get to be by yourself, to feel alone, to feel as if you don't have responsibilities when you're down, as if you could feel that there's no place that you need to be at that moment. And that's an incredible feeling. I feel like having free time is very freeing, frees you from your daily obligations. And the way the book tells us to be able to have more of that free time, because we do have a lot of responsibilities. We're also more connected to each other than ever. You know, with social media, with texting, it's weird if you don't hear back from someone, or if you don't have the expectation that you will hear from your friends and family. But as these, check-ins span over all of our days, weeks, the obligations we have to our friends, to be an observer and sometimes a participant in their lives, in the big moments and in the small moments when they may spontaneously need us on a Monday or Tuesday night. It's a beautiful thing, but it also kind of creeps in and takes over what we just said that we loved, which was our free and unstructured and do nothing time. So how are we able to create more of this doing nothingness? And I thought the answer was complicated, or something that needed to be profound, but it's actually optimizing for this idea of the joy of missing out. So instead of it being the fear of missing out, it's the joy of not committing to be there. It's not going to that family function, or it could be not embracing the latest hobby or latest trend. It could be not going to that happy hour because you know that time spent there will be time also taken from the next day, because inevitably you might be tired and waking up the next day is going to be really hard, and you have a big meeting that you need to present at, and you're like, this is just going to cause additional stress rather than additional fun in my life. So I think I'm good. I'm going to pass. But thank you for the invite. And then opt out. And I think when you look at invites or activities through the lens of the joy of missing out instead of the fear of missing out, I think that just places more power back in your hands to think about Do I really want to go? Is this going to negatively impact my future? Do I need to be there? Or is it better to use that time to energize my battery, do nothing, paint, or just let time flow more freely? What do I really need in this moment? What do I need in my tomorrow? And I think it's so important to be more intentional about how we spend our time. Because as we just said, our time on this earth, or even just the phase that we're in at our lives, whether we're growing our career, whether we're focused on our families, whether we're focused on illness, each stage of our life is so important, and the activities and the people that we fill our time and our attention with will really dictate, I think, the outcomes that we get out of our stages, whether we're a child, young adult, or even more specifics, the time we're starting a career, the time we're ending one, the time we're starting something new. How we choose to spend our time, the things that we do say yes to, should reflect the life experiences that we want to have on this earth. Because at the end of the day, at the end of all our stages, I think the goal or our favorable outcome should be to say that, yes, I chose to live a life that I'm proud of, that all the moments and ways and people I chose to spend my time with were incredibly worthwhile. So the book focuses, I believe, more on slow productivity rather than task productivity. It's not about how much you could get done and squeeze out of every minute, every hour of every single day. It's about, given that you have 80 years on this earth, what are you going to do so that it feels as if you're living the life that you want? And so he talks about, like what we talked about, the unstructured time, but just really, once you've picked the actions, the people, where you want to put your attention to, it's about really embracing that moment. And I think that's where creative pursuits have really changed the way that I look at things in my life. Because as I'm painting this brushstroke, it fascinates me, the different colors, how the different colors coordinate together, what the texture of this paint is, and how that's different than other areas on the canvas. And I'm just thinking, how am I going to fill in all the little white spots? How am I going to get the texture smooth? I'm not focused on the painting at the end. I'm just completely absorbed in this moment. And in this moment, I feel a lot of peace. I feel like this is exactly what I should be doing right now. and my time and attention is absorbed on this piece of paper. And I realized that's another reason why I love reading books so much, because I don't particularly get a lot of joy over telling people how many or how little books I've read, right? Because especially the older you get, books aren't really a requirement for life. You know, you're not trying to get an incredible amount of bookmarks from your teacher anymore. You're not graded on quantity. You're not really graded on anything at all. I think if anything, you're graded on being interesting. So that's why I believe that reading is one of the best ways to spend your time. Because in order to read well, I need to read really deeply. I need to imagine what the character's thinking, what lessons I learned, how I could apply those lessons to my life, to make my life better, to make the people's I care about their lives better. Reading isn't about the outcome. I think it's one of the most beautiful activities where the reading is the process. And the reading changes because you change every time you read the book. So even if you aren't a big reader, I really hope that you find that avenue that helps you figure out your why. Like, why do you do what you do? How can you do what you do better? How can you do what you love better? I think that beyond creativity, beyond reading, the most meaningful and just the coolest ways I feel like I've really spent my time recently has not only been engaging in these creative acts and making videos, right? But it's been talking to some of my favorite YouTube friends, Yuli, Lucinda, Elijah, because not only expressing creativity, but to get to the root of why you're expressing creativity, who are the people that you want to help, how are you helping yourself grow as a person, what kind of impact do you want to make? I think those conversations are so fascinating. And then just to have the support and your connection with another person being on how you could become the person that you want to be in the future through sharing your thoughts, dreams, and interests online. So, thanks to my wonderful friends who helped me figure out the person that I want to be, the kind of creator that I want to become, and just helping me be a happier person today. So I hope you pick up 4,000 Weeks. I think it's a really beautiful way to give context to your life now and to make you think intentionally about the person that you want to be in the future and how to find your flow in the projects that are the most meaningful things to you now. So thank you for taking the time to paint with me. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week.